Ladies, gents, welcome back to The Random. It's our TakeOff Sports Talk segment. We're back. Listen, once again, we're here with the Goodman brothers. Show some love and support to them. Clap it up. I'm SmallwoodWorldWide, your host, and today we're going to be talking about our top fives. Now, we're not going to go through your typical top fives. We're going to run through this a little bit unique, so buckle up. It's going to be a fun ride. So with the playoffs going on right now with the NBA, we have the NBA Finals. Rather than talking about the Celtics or the Warriors, like all the reporters, let's talk about the Lakers. Now, I don't know about you, but me, I want to talk about my top 5 Lakers ever. And what I mean by this, whoever wore the jersey as a Laker, even if it was Karl Malone and Gary Payton, pick up your top 5. So we're going to shift it over to the man wearing the Lakers jersey right now. Kick us off, baby. What's good?
Thank you, Antoine. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. So I'm going to go ahead and get this started controversially. I'll try not to rank them in terms of like what I think they are as all-time players on this particular list, but other ones I will throw out 1s and 2s and 3s. But if we're talking about people just wearing the Lakers jersey, not people who are all-time Lakers in terms of the longevity and what they did for the franchise itself, just the actual player themselves, here is my list. Magic Johnson, pretty undeniable, I would assume. Wilt Chamberlain, he didn't play with them forever, but he did get a ring there, and his jersey's retired there. And, I mean, in my opinion, Wilt is the GOAT. LeBron James, he's in the GOAT conversation right now. I understand that he's only been there, 3 years. He's missed the playoffs a couple of times, but he also has a ring. So I don't know if his number will go up in the rafters like the other ones will, but he was a fantastic player. So, therefore, I got LeBron on there. Of course, I got the captains, El Capitan himself, the guy who said, why don't you run around with Bob Lanier and bang with those guys and see how you feel the next day. Anyway, he really needs an introduction, but Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, again, another person who's up for the GOAT conversation. Everybody who I've mentioned so far, honestly, can be legitimately up for a GOAT conversation. And my last but not least is Shaquille O'Neal. It's not Kobe Bryant, unfortunately. Kobe, he's a fantastic player. He's in my top 12 of all time. And that is not a diss for people who always think that that's a diss. But, I mean, I don't know, billions of people have probably played basketball. He's 12, and people are like, what you mean? You underrated him. That's a lot. 12 is really high. So, but he's not in the top 5 here. And, I mean, I think that there's a legitimate argument to be made for all the people I put on my list. So that's my top 5. Lakers who ever wore the jersey, not top 5 Lakers who ever represented the Lakers. So.
Facts. Beautiful. You know what? I'll jump in here next before we kick it off, right? So for me, I got Magic. As a kid, Magic Johnson was the first thing that got me watching basketball, Showtime Lakers. When I think of the Lakers, when I look at your jersey, I think of Magic Johnson and that smile first. Second, I have Shaquille O'Neal. I just think he's one of the most unstoppable forces we've ever seen in any sport. And for him to don the jersey, get him a 3-peat, might have had a little bit more if he got along better with certain other folks. But listen, Shaq is on the list. LeBron James, listen, everybody's complaining about them being out the playoffs. I don't need to blow any more smoke. I highlighted it beautifully. He brought you a championship. That's the reason you bring that type of player to your franchise. He's delivered. Will he deliver more? You got to wait and see. Next, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, again, did too much for the game, but more for the Lakers. Skyhook, unstoppable. And then for my 5th spot is Jeannie Buss. No, I'm kidding. There's Kobe Bryant. So although she could be in the conversation, another topic. But Kobe Bryant, I just think he did a lot for the franchise in 20 years, and I have to put him on that list over Jerry West and any of the other guys. Although there's an argument to be made for Wilt, but that rounds out my 5. TJ, what you got for us, baby?
Oh, hold on, TJ. Before you go, my 6th man was Kurt Rambis. Okay, now you can go ahead.
And you stole my number 1.
Oh, my bad. Chill, God. I didn't mean to go. Chill, God.
I suppose none of y'all ever heard of Swaggy P.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Smush Parker. He's top 2, baby.
Oh,
right, man. We got Van Exel. We got
very nice.
All the names I got have actually been mentioned already. So of course I've got Magic Johnson. I mean, the guy redefined the position basically, right? I mean, 6'9", Showtime. I mean, that's the only word that needs to be said. I mean, he was the most electrifying point guard we've probably ever seen. I mean, considering what was in place before him, and then after everybody got a chance to learn and peep game. But Magic is not only a great Laker, of course, he's all-time great, period. Kareem, skyhook, unstoppable shot, won at every level. I mean, high school, college, pros. I mean, he's a consummate professional. He did it for a couple decades. I mean, that's a long time to be unstoppable. And that's what he did, right? I mean, I guess Father Time caught him eventually, but up until that point, it was too much for anybody. I got Shaq on there. Speaking of too much for anybody, I mean, the guy Diesel is absolutely the right nickname for this man.
That's facts.
Can't stop Shaq. I mean, you guys have probably noticed my list is based on, okay, well, if I'm at the court and I'm picking players, I got all the Lakers from history sitting there. Who am I picking? I want him, right? Wilt's my other guy. I got Wilt on there because he also was unstoppable in his day. Although, going back and watching him play, I thought that he did a lot more slam dunking and stuff, but he was a little more Durant-ish. He took a lot of shots on the inside. And when I saw that, I said, okay, well, if he was making that many jump shots.
Yeah, he basically explained that. I watched the interview with him. He could have dunked every time, but he hit him paid.
Yeah.
All the time.
And he led the league in assists. I just wanted to
exactly and rebounds, right?
And
I mean,
hey, did y'all see the video of Wilt that was like in color? I didn't even know they had color video back then, where he was just dominating cats, and they showed him literally, like you said, jump shots, layups, blocks.
Yeah,
I mean,
he was
killing Bill Russell. Yeah, he swatted the shit out of it. I was like, yo, isn't Bill Russell like 6'11"? Wilt was like, tell me that.
Yeah, he's just too much, man.
It's tough.
I mean, people don't even usually include him because it just seems unfair to include him because he was just so far separated from everybody else during his era.
Got his own money.
What's that?
He got his own money.
That's right.
Got his own money.
Yeah. And my fifth is, of course, LeBron, for the reasons that Aj highlighted. He's in the GOAT conversation. His knowledge and understanding of the game of basketball there's only a few people in the history of the game that can say that they see the game similar to him. One of them, of course, is also on this list, Magic Johnson. Not only can LeBron pass, rebound, power dunker, he's got a decent jump shot. I mean, I don't think he's as good a shooter as Kobe, who I is a noticeable omission. But if I'm picking a team, I would have to pick up LeBron over my man Kobe.
Hell yeah! Yeah.
Yes, so you got to say it like that.
That's my five right there, gentlemen.
Well, I guess it's all left to me. Now,
let's do it.
Are we talking about people that actually played, or can we include staff too? Because there's a lady at the forum that used to hand out Cokes. That bitch was my. But anyway. We're talking about just players, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Players.
Jersey, you can include her. Go ahead.
Then what?
Nothing. I just said if she wore a jersey, you can include her when she was wearing a jersey when she did her job.
I don't know. Paula Abdul might like to have a word, but no. Go ahead.
I'd like to have a word with her. I'll tell you that.
And I'm dressed like a cat.
Unlike you, cats, I'm gonna put it all in order because we're talking about basically half. The Lakers pretty much have the top 5 of all time, with the exception of Jordan. So it's almost ridiculous, to try and even pick just 5 of them. I mean, this list could go either way. You know what I'm saying? With anybody, there's people that'll probably throw on Jerry West. There's people that probably could throw on, of course, Kobe. There's people that could throw on, wasn't there Elgin Baylor? Some people might get squirrely with cool. Like James Worthy. But anyway,
hey, I mean, big game James.
Yeah, but I'm gonna put it in order based on where I have these individuals ranked in my top 10. So Best player to ever put on a Lakers jersey, ever. LeBron James, easily. 37 years old, averaged 30 points. He's the oldest and youngest nigga to do everything. He's the best player
Chill, God.
of a generation.
Just chill, God. Relax, God.
Relax. I mean, let's keep it 100 here.
You ain't gotta say it like that, God. Peace.
Oh,
Peace, God.
fair enough.
Hey, look at it like this, though, to your point. When LeBron first came into the league and he was in the video games, you couldn't recognize him. They were like hexagonal figures.
Yeah.
LeBron in the video games right now, 20 years later, they look like us right now. A.K.A. Insane. And he's still dominating.
20 years. 20 years of domination. And year 19 averaging 30, that is unheard of.
That is unheard of.
There are some pros that can go to the Y and not average 30 right now.
Swaggy P.
No.
Now, let's be honest. Anybody who's been a pro that goes to the Y is killing it. He's killing everyone.
I think so.
That's why I watched Brian Scalabrine take out a McDonald's kid the other day. And McDonald's All-American. Scalabrine gave him that work. So anyone in the NBA is a problem. All right, so that's number one. Number two, Magic Johnson. Best set of eyes the NBA has ever seen. I mean, just if he is the reason why they have the word point guard. He is the best point guard to ever exist. Not to mention one of the most charming characters that's ever put on a uniform in any sport.
I mean, Bob Cousy would like a word, but I didn't go on.
Tell Bob Cousy he got a toilet to fix. Let's go.
Yo, chill, God. Chill, God.
Arms. We're not gonna discredit Bob, but you know, he's no Magic. Hey, that's what they did back then. That was like the 19 teens. Like, you can't hold that against them.
That's not an accurate.
Nah.
Keep going, man. I'm sorry.
Bob Cousy's the inspiration for double dribble.
Yeah, that's back when the basketball still had like football laces on it, man. It's like,
that's not accurate. That's not accurate. Okay, keep going, man. I'm sorry, man.
All right, number 3, El Capitan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Only person I've ever seen with an unstoppable move that no one's ever figured out. Well, there's two. There's two moves: the Jordan fadeaway and the Kareem skyhook. Two moves that are just unstoppable, and there's nothing you can do. You just gotta hope that they're off. But not only that, Kareem, most points in NBA history until next year, which will be passed by the best Laker ever, which is LeBron James. Well, the best person to ever wear a Laker uniform. If we're going by just straight up best Laker ever, Magic Johnson's the best Laker ever. Or Kobe. Either or. I can't be mad at either one of those.
That's awesome.
There's too damn many. All right, but next on my list, Wilt Chamberlain. And the only reason Wilt Chamberlain is not higher on this list is because everyone else has got twice as many rings as he got. That is literally it. But this man owns the record books. I mean, there's the NBA record books, and then there's the Wilt Chamberlain record book, which is stuff that's so far out of reach that no one will ever, unless Superman puts on a goddamn jersey and decides to play basketball, no one's ever going to break any of these records. Averaging 50 points a game. Didn't he get
that was ridiculous.
Same.
Didn't he have like what was it, 40-something rebounds in one game one time?
Yeah. Several games. He averaged like 30 rebounds a game.
Yeah.
A year.
All out of reach. And here's the crazy thing about Wilt Chamberlain. And everyone else should be thinking, God, did he quit early? Did he walk away like Jim Brown? Because if he had stuck around, all these records, the scoring record, everything else would have been so far out of reach. It wouldn't have been fair.
Yeah.
It just and I don't think if he sticks around for another 5-6 years like he should have, I don't even think we're having a real life who's the GOAT conversation. I'm 100% clear it's going to be Wilt. And we're lucky that he was a gentle giant and he didn't have the temperament of my next player, Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh.
Had that kind of temperament, curtains. He might have averaged 70 if he was aggressive like Shaq. And that's not even hyperbole.
That's crazy.
I'm not saying it would have been his career average. I'm saying for one angry season, he might have really been able to pull off 70 realistically. And then, Bill Russell might have beat him in the finals by holding him to 60. And they're like, oh, MVP Bill Russell. He didn't let Will get to that 70 mark. That's
held on to 69 points.
Yeah, that's how amazing he was. And the last one, I wish we could do a thing with it. The reason I got to give it to Shaq is because Shaq basically is responsible for the first 3 rings of Kobe's career. Kobe only really earned 2 of his rings. The other 2 were kind of, not saying he didn't do his thing out there, but they were kind of coattailed off of Shaq, who was averaging like 28 and 13 or something like that in the finals, in all 3 finals. And like I said, there's really nothing you could do. If Shaq would have actually been able to shoot free throws, we're talking about another dude who we might have to, they might actually be in the real life GOAT conversation. Because we're talking about an extra, at least
maybe 1,000.
8,000
points.
10 points, yeah. An extra 10 points a game if he could actually hit 3 free throws. So you add that on with his totals and everything else, he would end up being a top 3 scorer of all times. So if he had a touch like Embiid, there'd be nothing you could do.
But Embiid couldn't do nothing with Shaq, though. If you go around the rim, Shaq's touch is impeccable. If you go back and watch those games, it wasn't just dunks. He had a little baby sky hook. He had a little mid-range floater. I mean, Shaq, whatever reason, the crypt, it's almost like God said, listen, you can't get free throws. Like, if he could hit free throws on top of everything else he did.
Yeah, God only gave one player all the things, and it was Michael Jordan. He gave one player all the things. Everyone else has a glitch.
I mean, as far as the Shaq thing, man, I seen the same shit happen to Kane. You know what I mean? Like, that's I seen the same thing happen to Kane. Man.
But that's order. And it really should be a Shaq / Kobe because, let's be honest, as far as actual skill set, Kobe Bryant is the second best person as far as skill set goes to ever put on a Laker uniform. There's really nothing that Kobe couldn't do.
Yeah.
But
I give it that.
I just don't think career-wise, in totality, he's as good as those other dudes. He's not as efficient, and he's not as dominant at his, like these other guys in their position. They're pretty much the top of the list. Well, actually, you know what? Kobe is too. Now that I think about it, he is the second.
Yeah. Kobe's a bad dude. He's just not better than these dudes who are arguably like the top 5 dudes who've ever played basketball. I mean, like arguably.
Okay, I'll put it to you like this: Kobe is good, but he's not life-altering good. All the rest of these dudes are life-altering good. We've never seen anything like LeBron James, right? You've never seen a guy that size, that fast, that can do those things. They can pass that way, shoot that way, and move that way. Magic Johnson, you've never seen another guy be able to pass that way and run the point that way. Kareem, you've never seen a guy with an unstoppable move before him like the sky hook. Wilt Chamberlain, you just never seen a dude that could stack the stat sheet like that. And Shaq, you've never seen anyone that dominant and aggressive in a game.
I think I get what
Kobe is we've seen his act before. He's Diet Jordan. He's Jordan 0. He's Jordan without.
Chill, yo. You gotta chill.
God.
I think I get what you're trying to say, though. I mean, I think there's degrees, though, Greg. I mean, I think he is a life-changing player because he's a culture setter. And but those
I'm talking about as far as the skill sets that he has on the court, like things that you've seen.
Yeah,
you've seen his act. All the other
at
guys
that level, though, go back to the class of '96. Ray Allen, A.K.A, Kobe. Look at everybody. That was a stacked class, one of the best draft classes ever. And who was at the top of that list from that draft class?
Best class since '84.
Yeah. And Kobe was head of that class.
I think that
Arguably better than anybody in that class. Ray Allen, if he doesn't get injured and if he goes away from Milwaukee early, he might give a second run. But I'm just saying.
Kobe is the head of that class, but as an Allen Iverson dude, it's always hard. So it's just.
I said he's the head of the class, but he's not head and shoulders above AI.
No.
Jordan.
I'm not going to say that. That's
what I'm saying. But Jordan, when he's definitely the head of all classes.
Yeah, that's what
Jordan's Professor X.
Yeah.
And he's running the school of mutants. He's the baddest motherfucker on the planet.
Come on, man.
AI took the 017. We're going to derail the joint. So, because now I'm about to get in the AI bag. So, listen, when we think of top 5, we always talk about the best. But one thing you rarely hear about is the worst. Let's go down our top 5. We got to have a little bit of fun with this, right? The worst NFL QBs that you ever seen suit up. All right. You could talk about all 5. You could talk about 1 or 2. I think we are passionate about this in some degree. Who wants to kick it off?
I went first last time.
You went first. You went first last time.
So I'm not gonna do
TJ, go ahead and kick us off on this one.
All right, this was kind of fun in a sadistic way, I guess. I didn't exactly rank them either because they're all so pathetic.
God, relax.
I gotta relax. Which one's a bigger scrub than another? But on my one of the guys on my list, I would say obviously, but I don't know what you guys have. Ryan Leaf, and part of the reason for that is not just that he looked terrible out there on the field. His record was crap. He couldn't throw the ball. I mean, I could keep going. It was who he was behind, right? Who he was compared to. Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
It used to be like, oh, they're neck and neck.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I don't know what else could be further from the truth. This guy was a humongous freaking bust. It was just awful. Terrible. He was, when I saw the heading for what we're going to be covering, that's the name that popped in my head immediately. Ryan Leaf, scrub. Anyway, all right. So another guy on my list, and this is just like a personal pick because Aj knows. I just think he's a loser. I always have. The second he was in the league, Brock Osweiler. I just think,
I forgot about Brock. Yes.
I just think he's a bum. I can't.
You're the real MVP, TJ. You're the real MVP. I forgot all about Brock.
I can never forget that. I saw him in the press conference the first time. I think I was talking to you. I just said, man, this guy's a loser, man. There's no way.
He was like, look at his neck. I mean, like, he don't look like he could. I was like, that's cold-blooded. That's cold-blooded.
Never did anybody prove me right faster than Brock. So I should be thanking him for that. Thank you, Brock. Another guy on my list, of course, Jamarcus Russell. I mean, I didn't want to put anybody of that.
Rustling.
Oh, bad. He was just, it was that he was such a disappointment, That's really what it was. I mean, he wasn't any worse than any of these other bums on my list, but he was a really big disappointment. I'm trying to chill, man. I'm trying.
He's right up there with Leaf, man.
I'm going with, I think his name's Andy Walter, who was actually the guy who was there right before Jamarcus Russell. This is why Russell was such a huge bust. This Waller dude, let me just give you an idea what it was. So this Mark played in 8 games. He had 2 wins, 6 losses. In those games, this Mark had 13 interceptions, 13 fumbles. I mean, he couldn't do anything right at all.
Wow.
I mean, his 2 left feet, no thumbs. He
was out there playing quarterback with no thumbs. Like, how the hell?
That's pretty much
fumbles.
And the last one on my list, guys, I didn't actually see him play. I've seen highlights. If you've ever watched those old Dolphins clips where the guy's like bobbling the ball over the place and getting sacked all over the place. His name's Rick. In his whole career, he's got 7 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. That's the extent of his career. I don't remember how many years he played there, but he was drafted real high. like number 2 or something.
Wow.
And he just took the Dolphins down to depths that they've never really recovered from. Actually, that was before Marino. So he had to out of lethargy. That's my favorite. So those are my five. Bring up the rear, bad quarterbacks, watch them, cringe the whole time, get them off the field, guys.
Facts. Listen, cue the Benny Hill music, right? I'm going to go ahead and go next because I want Aj to go last because I think his list probably fire. So the group of bums that I got, right? And make no mistake about it, as quarterbacks, they were bums, all right? Wish them the best.
Oh, God.
I've seen Real Housewives sling a champagne bottle across the room with more accuracy than these dudes, all right? So let's go ahead and let's get into this list, right? And I got smoke for a couple of them, so I'm going to spare some of them. But Jimmy Clausen, again. Right? We got Heath Schuler. We got Danny Werfel. Danny Werfel was the most accurate passer in NCAA history and got to the NFL and couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, all right? And I'm talking about when it's just him in the barn. Now, you got Curtis Painter, who I got smoke for. You got Nathan Peterman, who's still in the league somehow. Peterman, I got smoke for.
Man, you got
the Peterman.
Peterman.
Damn it. That's all I'm going to say. Damn it. That's what it was. Keep going.
So we got to talk about Curtis Painter first, all right? How do you back up one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history in Peyton Manning? The few times Peyton Manning was out or they made the playoffs and they wanted to rest him and kind of, protect and serve his little health before the game, guess what? I've never seen a guy go in that act like he never even picked up a Madden controller before. Curtis Painter was stepping there awkward, stepping over his own feet. Jeff Saturday looking at him like it's Sunday, like, what are you doing? This guy just didn't know his left from his right. He was awful. And I don't know how he lasted as long as he did in the NFL. He got free checks. He played behind Manning. But Nathan Peterman came in, right? And the worst part about that is, I don't know if in a Pee Wee league, I would have threw 5 interceptions and a half, okay? You could have got somebody to come to a concert and throw their panties at their favorite artist. They would have had more accuracy than Nathan Peterman. I've seen Gatorade guys coming off the bench blind. Here you go. Take it. They had more accuracy than that. This guy, Nathan Peterman, was given a chance to start over Tyrod Taylor, right? And so what pissed me off is Tyrod is good. And they treat him like he's a journeyman. And then they brought in this kid, Nathan Peterman, and what's the dude, John, the quarterback whisperer, him and his brother, they both suck as coaches, but Gruden. So there we are. And so, yeah, I said it. And so the problem is he said he's the best quarterback in his draft. Nathan Peterman got out there and threw so many picks at one point. Sam Darnold was like, oh, you seeing them ghosts, ain't you? You didn't know what was going on. And you've never seen most QBs throw that many in a game, let alone in a half. And then the head coach had the unmitigated gall to say, I still don't know who started next week. You know what the offense did? Listen, we're going to petition to quit and walk out if you don't get Tyrod back in this thing. So those are my 5 bums. Listen, they should never go look up Jimmy Clausen for Heisman highlights. Go do that on YouTube. I encourage you. It's fun. All right. And tell me, should he ever been starting in the NFL? Greg, I kick it over to you.
All right. Well, y'all covered most of the people that I was going to name. Jamarcus Russell, we'll just skip by that. We know what happened to him. He looked like he'd have played offensive line by year 2. He just spent all his check and showed. Spent his whole NFL check and showed. Ryan, I don't even know what happened to him. That is the worst mental breakdown I've ever seen in my life. Now we're going to get to a couple of guys that I feel like should have been mentioned that no one mentioned. Mark Sanchez is god-awful. He is the absolute worst quarterback in the Jets' history. And what the Jets are. I've never seen anyone get carried by a defense so far in my life. If he was half decent, the Patriots would be 2 Super Bowls down. If he was just on a Trent Dilford level of responsibility, the Jets could have went to the Super Bowl. But Mark Sanchez is the definition of a bum. He is a bum.
I don't concur with that. No.
You don't have to concur with it. That's what the hell it is.
I don't concur with that.
Look at all right, I'll tell you this. If you've got 35 and a half seconds, look at the reels of Mark Sanchez doing good. Because that is about all his career's work.
Don't depart us like this, son. I mean, like, yo.
But if you want to see
Greg, you know what he was doing in those 35 seconds? He was handing off the ball to Sean Green. That's when he was doing good.
He was handing off the ball and cheerleading. That's what the hell he was doing. Those are his highlights. All right, another person that has to be mentioned, that nobody mentioned, who did somehow make it to the playoffs and win a game in the playoffs.
Don't do it.
Tim Tebow has got the absolute worst fundamentals of any quarterback I have ever seen in my entire life.
That's an interesting pick because he was winning. But go ahead.
Yeah, he was winning because he was basically a fullback. Okay.
He was Mike Allstott at QB.
He was a fullback.
Yo, you know what, man? I'm gonna have to hit you with a chill guard on that. Chill guard. Relax, man.
Relax. Tim Tebow's fundamentals were outrageously bad. Like I said,
Get no argument on that.
No,
I don't know how he was winning these games. When he won a game where he threw 7 passes for like 5 yards total. He got carried. They basically should have just named Tim Tebow. They should have took Tebow off the back of his jersey and put on JanSport because that defense carried them. He was a back the whole time he was starting. But fundamentally, he's got horrible feet. He's got horrible accuracy. He's got horrible mechanics as far as his throwing motion. He is the absolute worst quarterback, skill-wise, I've ever seen in my entire life. However, he's a hell of a fullback.
He wasn't much as a tight end, though, because those fundamentals came back to haunt him. I'd never forget in Jacksonville, they signed him. I'm like, oh, there's Tebow. He's jacked. He got a little bigger. Tebow, there's your guy. Block him. Tebow stands there looking impressive. The guy runs by him. They didn't even bother to touch him. They're just like, look, something's wrong with him. Blink twice if you're a hostage. I'm like, listen, how do you have this guy line up at tight end when at quarterback, we watched him in practice? And to Greg's point, fundamentals. There's no defense on the field. All he had to do was just throw the ball. I can do that now. All 3 of you can do that now. You know what Tim Tebow did? He hit the fucking Gatorade boy in the ear with the pass, and the ball was wobbling. It wasn't even a spiral. That's what his fundamentals look like. So I'm going to pass it back to you, man. Because listen, I never understood the whole Tebow thing. That's a real video, too, by the way. I was like, he threw the ball where? But the receiver's over here. There's no pressure. There's no blitz. There's coaches with hats on.
Tebow threw it looked like he dipped his hands in Vaseline before he took hikes. Like, it was just so inaccurate. And he was just an off-putting quarterback. But as far as Tebow, the guy, I love him to death. Tebow as a person, he's great. He was a quarterback. Nope. I wouldn't let that motherfucker pass me a Pepsi.
Come on. Oh, God, relax, guys.
He'd accidentally give it to your neighbor.
Yeah.
Grant Hill drinks Sprite.
Yeah. Yo, Hodge, take us home with this topic. What you got for us?
Yeah, I'm done here. That was my 5.
Unfortunately, a lot of mine have gotten picked off at the pass, but I'll go through mine. I did list them. At number 5, I got Christian Ponder, former Vikings quarterback.
Nice.
And that's not the last Vikings quarterback that will be featured on today's show. At number 4, I got Tim Tebow. I like Tim Tebow. I thought that they should have changed the offense to try to run the way that was most effective for him. But I mean, like, you know, he as a quarterback, he's a hell of a football player. But as a quarterback,
hell of a football player.
Yeah, he's always been bad like that. But he's found ways to win, and he's cobbled together wins, and he's arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play in college. I mean, like that's the God statement.
That's true.
So it's like
that's true.
I had to put him on the list just because he was really bad fundamentally. But I mean, of all the people who I'd wish weren't on this list, Tebow's the one. The Peterman comes in at number 3. The Peterman was out here throwing.
The Peterman.
Shout out to Bomani Jones. The Peter Man be out here throwing all kinds of picks, man. It's just look. They sat Tyrod, like Twan said it. They sat Tyrod to God, man, and then had the nerve at halftime to be like, "Yo, could you possibly suit up?"
That was terrible.
That was just so bad. The whole thing looked bad.
Last time I saw that many picks, I was at a Black Panther party.
Look, man. Look. When people say, "Hey, what is white privilege?" You just say, Nathan Peterman starting over Tyrod Taylor when they had that was a game to get them into the playoffs. So I remember that pretty vividly. My neighbor's a Buffalo Bills fan. I should ask them about that, see what they say. Anyway, my number 2 is Ryan Leaf. For a lot of reasons, but the biggest reason is because I thought he was better than Peyton Manning. And then he did an interview, and Junior Seau was like, "Yo, chill, God, relax." God. And it's just, it was bad. I mean, Ryan Leaf will tell you himself he ain't shit. So, I mean, like that's what it is. And my number 1 bad quarterback, and it pains me to do this to a black quarterback because, as we know, only recently have black quarterbacks really gotten the chance to be quarterbacks. But this guy was a little bit ahead of his time, and he got in for a Vikings playoff game against, I think it was Green Bay, and it was the single worst performance I've ever seen on any stage by any player. And that guy is Joe Webb. And everybody's looking at me with blank faces because nobody knows who Joe Webb is. And you know why?
Number 14.
Joe Webb was that bad. I said, "Oh, they got a brother here. They might got a shot." I remember this. I looked at my pops after the first quarter. I was like, "Yo, they need to get Christian Ponder back in there." That's how bad Joe Webb was.
Say, yeah.
Huh?
I said words you never thought you'd say.
I never thought. I was like, "Yo, where is Christian Ponder?" So that is my number 1, and you can take that to the bank, sucker.
No doubt. Some true bums on this list. May they rest in. Nah, let me stop. So this is a family show, as my man Aj was saying. It's really not. So we're gonna pivot back to the NBA, right? So one of the things we all like is a great series. The 2 best words in sports: Game 7. If you make it there, in your opinion, what are the best NBA finals that you've ever seen? What's your top 5? Anybody feel free to hit this.
Ooh. Me first. So
go for it.
I actually only got 4, and then on the last one, I'm just gonna kind of toss in there. But and you'll understand the homage at the end. But I'll go. So my 5, which is the one that I have to just kind of toss in there, I will go with the bad boy Pistons beating the Lakers. And that's not because, and they swept them too, but it's not because it was a great series necessarily. It was because of what the bad boys represented as far as my childhood goes, as far as what they meant to the league itself, as far as Isaiah Thomas never getting the credit he deserves, just all that, man. That's where I just threw that one in there. Now to the ones that I actually studied, and I was like, thought back into my memory banks, and I was like, "Yo, this was a hell of a finals." Here we go. Lakers, Celtics, 1987. That was the one where Magic hit the joint coming across the lane. Larry Bird was left speechless after the thing. Said, I just don't know what to say. When you can leave Larry Bird speechless, that's a hell of a game, gentlemen. It's a hell of a game. So yeah, that was one of the ones that really brought the NBA like really, really big pub as far as other people getting interested. My number 3, Heat versus Spurs, 2013. Everybody loves this series for the Ray Allen shot. But you know why I love the series? Because in Game 7, when it was real tight, Tim Duncan missed that bunny. He's an all-timer. He's probably the best power forward ever lived. What happens? LeBron James comes down to the free throw line. People said he can't do this, can't do that. Knocks that joint down, ices the game, walks out the court like this. Yeah. I was like, yo, this joint is tough, man. So everybody remembers that Ray Allen shot. Another thing, when the pandemic first started, they started replaying all these joints. If you want to see a quarter by a dude, watch LeBron James' 4th quarter in that Game 6.
Game 6. He went off 16 points. He went off.
I'm telling you. And then people just, all people remember is Ray Allen bailed him out. I'm like, yo, you got to watch that.
He didn't bail him out. LeBron's 4th quarter was legendary in that game. Everybody else was cold.
He did everything but hit that last 3-pointer. He missed that last 3-pointer. There was a rebound. Chris Bosh kicked it out. Ray Allen.
Yo, one of the coldest celebrations ever. Dwayne Wade was in the locker rooms putting champagnes on his knees. That's how ill that series. Anyway, my second of all time series, Bulls versus Jazz, 1998, because it was, of course, the pose.
Yeah.
You know, that was Michael Jordan at his most Michael Jordanist.
Yes.
So that's where that one went down for me. But the number one final series that I've ever seen to this day is Cavaliers versus Warriors 2016.
Easy. That's everyone's number.
My man.
That was an awesome series in every single way.
Yep.
The whole Goliath versus David, the whole GOAT conversation. It's the greatest single championship any player has ever won.
Yep, by far.
And even though, you know,
I dare you debate me.
You can say whatever you want, but Kung Fu Kyrie forever can be like, yo, I'm a champion, and I hit that shot in 2016. You can say whatever you want to Kevin Love. He's like, but I'm a champion. J.R. Smith, same thing. I mean, like that. No one has earned a championship more, in my opinion. That's it.
And in that same series, Kevin Love put Curry in the torture chamber in the last second when he was trying to get that three off. He didn't know where to go, and he bricks the shot. So I'm just saying, they all earned that.
Man, it was a fact. Yo, that's my number one. That's my number one.
Nice.
It's only fitting. I'm gonna jump in on this, right? I got to. So I'm gonna start off, and I ranked them too. I'm gonna start from 5. 5 was right before my time, but I saw it on TV. The Lakers and 76ers, where Magic replaced Kareem and went off for 42, 15, and 7. Because everybody thought the series was going to turn because Kareem was out. Magic said, nah, I got this. I'm built for this. Because a lot of times you see like star players or really good players being called superstars. I think Magic really embodied what it meant to be a superstar, stepping into any role, doing whatever it took to win. I love that. Still one of my favorite performances. What'd you say?
As a rookie at that.
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot about that part. Yep.
Didn't Larry Bird win Rookie of the Year over him?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, he did? I thought Magic won.
Yeah.
Bird did?
I think Larry won that
world.
this year.
Crazy.
I thought he did. Maybe I could have.
Maybe it was MVP or rookie. It doesn't matter.
He won something. You're right. No, you're right. Because I'm watching a Magic documentary right now on Apple TV Plus, and I think he was pissed about Larry winning something. So him and Larry was always inspiring each other.
I'm sorry.
No, you good. That's what this is about. So also the 97 and 98 Bulls, the Jordan flu game, that series, of course, MJ never allowed it to go to 7. And I was happy, especially now that John Stockton didn't get a chip. Next was Heatles, as I call them, going up against the Spurs, that 4-3 series, everything that I've said. But for me, Miami LeBron, Heat LeBron was the best version of LeBron. And I don't think people respected enough. If you look what he did in his run there for those 4 years, it was incredible. And that series against that Spurs team was surgical. That was like Golden State before Golden State, the way they whipped the ball around. They literally were loaded and everybody could shoot, guard, defend. And LeBron went there and said, nah, I'm a Thanos this shit. Took it over, closed them out. My number one, of course, the Cavs versus Golden State. I got no love for Golden State. I respect the process and everything. And I don't even need to look at the phone for this one because this shit was personal, right? Klay Thompson talked so much shit when they were down 3-1. They were up 3-1. Yeah, maybe LeBron is soft. This is a man's game. And I'm like, damn, I'm thinking about everything LeBron did. Got swept in 2007 by Duncan, bringing a bunch of garbage cans to the finals. He went back, obviously not the ideal series against the Mavs. And I'm like, all this man has been through. And we're not going to talk about what really happened with that. But you saying it's a man's game and it's soft? And I saw LeBron sitting there. He's like, look, it ain't over. And game by game, brick by brick, I watched him chip away at the false confidence of Golden State and bust their ass. And seeing the footage after the finals, right? Before I get to any plays on this, was much sweeter. Seeing them in the locker room, we got them right where we want them. I don't know if you ever seen this footage. It's like some behind the scenes. And they had like this like puzzle. And they were like, still losing. Any game, it's over, right? They went through game by game. Him and Kyrie put together a masterpiece. And what made it good for me was everybody talked about Kyrie's shot, how they did Ray Allen's. I like to talk about that chase down block that LeBron did because Most human beings, even Usain Bolt, ain't just going to take off running 20 miles an hour. They went and clocked him. LeBron ran from one end of the court, right? J.R. Smith doing his best on defense, a 2-on-1. All right. Homeboy goes up for the layup. LeBron comes out of nowhere on some Dark Knight shit, just erases it. And I'm talking about at the point his head almost hits the backboard. Nobody remembers that play. They also don't remember him erasing Curry's shot in the fourth quarter several times on that same series. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like this man single-handedly willed this team from being down 3-1 to a team that won 73 games.
Didn't he average a triple-double in that series?
Yes, he did. I still have it saved in my phone. He won every statistical category in that entire series for both teams. Points, rebounds, assists, etc. Right? And the GOAT category, when people talk about it, some days I struggle to be like, all right, MJ is the coldest, right? Because MJ is like a god in the game. But the stuff I watched LeBron do, I've never seen anybody do this before. Anybody, excluding nobody. And it's like the stuff he did in that series to close out that championship was so bad that you go in a parking lot, allegedly, and call Kevin Durant to come in and join up to take down one LeBron James. And I'm laughing because LeBron might have did a three-peat had Kyrie and Kevin Love not been hurt, the previous joints out there. Because people don't remember, I think at the time it was Atlanta and Golden State were the best records in the league. Mm-hmm. Young teams coming up. And LeBron just came in and put a stop to all of that. So that 2016 finals, the greatest thing I've ever seen. And I could talk about it all day, but I'm going to throw it to Greg.
Well, I'm not even going to go ahead and go in order. I'm just going to pick up where you left off. That is the greatest championship that is the greatest accomplishment I've ever seen any athlete do. Because here's the thing that makes it even more amazing. Not only did he come back from 3 down, he did it against the best team record-wise in the history of the sport.
That's facts.
The only thing that even comes close to equaling that is when the Giants somehow beat the Patriots.
Ooh.
That is the only thing that I can even compare it to. And I can't even compare it to that because there was no one single player that made that really happen with when the Giants won. This was basically all LeBron that made this happen. Not to say that the other guys didn't do their job, but LeBron, I've never seen anyone carry a team in a situation like that well in my life. It is by far the most impressive thing that I've ever seen from any single athlete in a team sport.
That shit was dope.
That being said, I'm not even going to put them in order, but that's one of them. We'll just get that one out. We'll just get that out the way. Another amazing finals that I watched was I have to take it back like Aji did because we actually I'm old enough to remember the 87 Magic Johnson hook shot over the Celtics because I used to hate the Celtics and I think it was based on general racism. But that was one of the most exciting things that I think that might have been the moment where I really started appreciating Magic Johnson like that. That might have been the moment because before, I was just a kid. I was young. It was all Jordan, because he was killing it as a rookie. Not a rookie, but those 3 years that he was there, he was just amazing. But that's when I really realized who Magic Johnson was and how great he was when we saw that finals. So that'd be another one. The other one, dang, we got a lot of the same ones. Because I was gonna say the Spurs and the Heat.
Shit was crazy.
That was
when you have a good final, you have a good final. Like that's what makes it what it is, man.
And once again, I'll have to say this: in the finals performance, that you're back against the wall, that is a top 5 performance by LeBron James as far as carrying that. The Heat were dead in the water once the fourth quarter started, and he willed them. There's no way that Ray Allen needs to have an opportunity to make that shot without LeBron James going ham like that. I've never seen anyone go that hard in a fourth quarter with the game on the line like that, with the exception of my next finals last year. What Giannis did.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Now, I'm not going to say that's one of the greatest finals I've ever seen, but I put it in there because that is one of the greatest finals performances I've ever seen in my life.
That was a great final.
Giannis went ham. All the way ham. So, I mean, I said that's
worthy.
I wish he would have been back again for more. I wish he could have had another 4 years. You know what I'm saying? I wish he would have came back this year. Because Giannis, I mean, Giannis, I don't think outside of Allen Iverson, I don't think I've ever seen anyone play that hard throughout the duration of an entire game than Giannis does. Giannis plays harder than any person that I've seen in his position at his size. I mean, not to say that LeBron James plays hard in moments and goes really hard. Giannis plays hard the entire game.
Every game. Every game.
All the game. I said he is tall AI. I've never seen anyone play that hard in my life. And the last one, this really shouldn't be on the list, but it's on the list for this reason alone. The Lakers and 76ers, the Kobe and Shaq versus AI. And the reason it's on there is because AI, honestly, they should have been swept. The 76ers should have got swept.
Yeah.
They should have had the brooms out immediately. But AI, like I said, as far as I just love dudes that really put forth amazing individual performances. And as far as a little dude performance, the only person I could even compare to is Isaiah Thomas on 1 foot.
Yeah.
Like those, and that was the finals too, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was the finals too.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go ahead and merge it. Those two performances are they're nothing like them. Nothing like them. There's no way that AI should have been able to pull one game out of that.
But let me put it to you like this: the Lakers was 15-1 in the playoffs that year. You know where that one loss came from?
AI.
I was just about to say that was peak Lakers too. That was like the best version of the Lakers.
Yeah, they were a problem.
Yes, sir.
They definitely they could have pulled off that Moses Malone, that faux. They could have pulled that joint off.
I mean, you couldn't do anything. Samaki Walker. I mean,
yeah. Like, and Allen Iverson's team, like, it is the second worst team I've seen make it to a finals. Next to that team in 2007.
Chill.
Is the second worst team I've ever seen. And it might have to be the worst team that I've ever seen in the finals for the fact that LeBron James is so much better than everybody else. It was playing. I mean, AI was great, but he was not the best player in the arena. He was definitely the best player for the 76ers, but is he better than Kobe at that time? Questionable.
At that time, yes.
Kobe locked them up the rest of the series.
Like I said, questionable.
I'm very biased when it comes to that.
Is he better than Shaq?
Nah,
not even close. Like I said, there's no way they should have been able to pull out a win.
I mean,
Shaq made Mutombo, who was like a defensive player of the year, look like I was guarding Shaq. That's how bad Shaq was. Mutombo looked helpless under the rim. At one point, he just looked at coach like, look, you want to take me out? Like, I want to play the rest of my career. Like, you do know that, right? Like, that's how bad he was getting dominated.
They should have made different rules for Mutombo in that series. Like, he should have been allowed 10 fouls. There's nothing he could do down there with Shaq. They should have let him have
It wasn't.
The Shaq, look, how are you going to beat a motivated Shaq? And by that time, he's already worked himself into shape. Like, you can do that to Shaq in December when he's still smelling like Popeyes in the club. But late June,
chill, man. What are you doing, man?
Ain't no way. Ain't no
Look,
way.
my late show,
Don't
Shaq
stop it.
bicep was big as my whole body at that point, and he's
Yeah.
literally moving up and down the court. Matumbo's like a wisp in the wind, like foul, foul, and Shaq's like, yeah, get out of here.
And an honorable
Another
mention.
60 points.
An honorable mention. The 2011 Dallas Mavericks beating the Miami Heat. Hell of a series.
Dirk.
Very disappointing, LeBron James. The only time I've seen LeBron James be like, nigga, what are you doing? That is literally the only time I've seen him. And I'm like, LeBron, do something.
Yo, JJ Barrera.
Fight back.
Dude, it was like watching Superman hang out with the Justice League, and they're like, "There's a comic coming." And Superman's like, "Well, what is we gonna do, nigga? You Superman." Do something. Just like I just want to be part of the team. No, be Superman. Do Superman stuff.
And Green Lantern. I mean, what?
Not just Green Lantern. He decided to be the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern. Let's not insult the Green Lanterns.
Yeah.
Right? That's how bad he was.
No, he couldn't have been the Green Lantern because he ain't had no rings at the time.
You know what, man? Chill, man. Yo, man, chill, man. Chill. Man.
You had to hit him with a chill.
Yeah.
All right, I guess it's on you, TJ.
Calm down, God.
Indeed.
Got a lot of the same ones. I think my number one. I think we all, as Captain Jack Sparrow says, we have an accord there.
Yeah.
2016 Cavs Warriors 3-1 comeback. I mean, the drama. It was just so exciting to see them climbing their way back in. They finally get to Game 7. You're like, are they going to have enough to do it? In that last 4 minutes, nobody could score. It was like, man, come on, somebody. And Kyrie busted with that shot. I mean, right after that big block that Antoine was talking about earlier. That was a great series. Very exciting. Second one was another 7-game series was that 2013 Heat Spurs. I mean, you guys already laid that out. That was just fantastic. The one I have after that, I think it was on Antoine's list. It was that Lakers 76ers, the Magic Johnson rookie year final. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it had to do with a lot of the reason why I put it on there is because he was a rookie. I mean, he really changed the way that people view rookies. I mean, they're under enormous pressure even to this day because he was able to walk in, leaving college early, and do that amazing performance and win a championship. So I had to put that in there. That's like all-time great stuff. Then, of course, the 1998 Bulls Jazz. I mean, to end it with the pose, couldn't get much sweeter than that. And the last one, Greg actually he touched on it. It's the faux. That was my one of my all-time favorite, just because of the sheer domination. My goodness gracious, that 76ers team was just so. They're kind of forgotten in history for some reason. I don't really know why, but they're forgotten because the 80s. They got their chip early in the 80s, and then the rest of the 80s is just basically Magic Johnson and Larry Bird going back and forth trading championships, and then the Pistons coming in and beating people the hell up and getting rings. So they're just forgotten. In all honesty, they are that 76ers team you're talking about is got to be a top 5 team of all time. It's got to be. Maybe even top 3. They had a team. Yeah, they just because of how they slapped everybody around that whole faux thing. Seeing them going, I think they lost that one game.
Yeah, they lost one game. Yeah, and that was the team where Dr. J rocked the Lakers to sleep.
Yeah. But it was just like I said, supreme domination. So it's on there just because they just crushed everything in their path, which I like to see as well. I don't just like to see Game 7 drama. I also like to see people get stomped out on occasion.
Indeed.
That's my list right there.
Facts. Great list, gents. So with that, we talked about recently here, right? The greatest finals. Now, what composes the finals? Great players. That being said, your top 5 athletes, whatever that means to you, of all time. Run me your 5. Greg, kick us off.
Oh, you had to start with me. I'm still trying to get it together. All right.
We could pivot. If you still
Just
think
off top. Just off top, because I never really got time to prepare for any of this stuff today. I've been busy.
Chill, relax, man. Just,
All right. Muhammad Ali.
Damn it.
Number one. Michael Jordan, of course. Shannon Sharp. That's my guy. This is where it gets tricky.
Really?
This is where it gets tricky. Look, I'm going to give you 6. Allen Iverson, LeBron James, and then Mike Tyson. That's my list. All for different reasons. They're all my favorite dudes for different reasons.
Facts. Respectable list. I'm going to go ahead and go next and step in here, right? So my top 5 athletes of all time, I really want to give you 7, but I'm going to go with 5. So 2 of these suckers going to get cut, but check it out. Number 1, Serena Williams. 23 Grand Slams. I think tennis being an individual sport, one of the hardest things you could do because you can't blame a teammate. It's all on you, whether you win, lose, or whatever else. Listen, I got nothing but respect for her. I hope that she does get 24. Next, Michael Jeffrey Jordan, of course. To me, the GOAT. Never seen anything like it. Don't think we ever will. Even if Kobe Bryant tried, it wasn't Mike. Next, LeBron James. I've never seen anybody in the history live up to the hype the way that he has. From the time he was like 13, 14 or whatever, to the time he was 16 and got the SI cover, to coming in the league and his own teammates. I watched like some dirtbag documentaries where they're going around the locker room and, yeah, who is he? And I'm like, damn, this is his squad. He's coming to your team. Like, they weren't even looking forward to him coming in. And
yeah, they
go
like
back and watch.
Yeah, they
say that again. Yeah.
You know, he'll be, you know, we got guys better than him. And then the first
Exactly.
25, 9, and like 8 or something like that.
I mean, you know, Ira Newble though. I mean,
listen, Ricky Jackson thought Ricky, whatever his name was,
Davis.
he thought he was something, but
Ricky Davis.
Ricky Davis. I know, yeah, but yeah, Ricky, whoever he thought he was. Go look at his highlights. Rick. We all got mentions, but listen. Next on my list was Deion Sanders. I've never seen anybody play a baseball game at a high level in the same day. Travel, it ain't gonna put on a stellar performance in football in the same day. Never seen it before. Nobody's ever done that. Also, everywhere that he's gone, the team won. I don't think that's an accident.
Yo, relax.
We don't talk about that. We don't talk Redskins and Ravens. We don't talk about those years. But yeah, you know, checks. But no.
Except for the old Commanders. My bad.
And my number 5 that I'm gonna put on the list for today, and I'm just looking at it. I'm like, man, I got to do it. Jackie Joyner-Kersee. I'm a track and field guy. I pivoted back and forth between Jackie Joyner-Kersee and Shelly Ann Fraser-Price, A.K.A. Mommy Rocket. She's still killing it, but Jackie Joyner-Kersee with the heptathlon and I think the long jump, you've never seen anything like that. 2 of the hardest events that you would ever do. Again, an individual event where everything is on you, all the pressure, the glory, and she, damn it, delivered. So multiple times, by the way. So shout out to Jackie Joyner-Kersee out there. I'll pass it to TJ.
All right, great list, guys. Good grief. I don't have these exactly ranked, but I do have Michael Jordan on my list, of course. And the reasons for that, of course, are basketball related, but not just. I mean, the guy was an absolute freak of an athlete. Like when I saw the word athlete, I was thinking, okay, well, who can do the most athletic things? I mean, he was just majestic through the air. He could jump, almost like 4 foot vertical or something. He was as fast as an NFL cornerback. I mean, the guy was just absolutely unbelievable as far as his athletic capability. And then when you add his maniacal drive to win, you get 6-0 in the finals, never get to a game 7. So Michael Jordan's on my list. Wilt Chamberlain's on my list for very similar reasons.
Ooh, nice.
He was holding back, and he set all the records for not just that time, but for all time. He also was a track and field athlete, from what I recall, right? Run, jump from the free throw line, extreme. What do you say, Greg?
It's a high jump, long jump.
Yeah, high jump, long jump. He was just an amazing athlete. I do have Muhammad Ali on my list as well. As a young man, I mean, we were robbed of 3 years of his prime. I do think that he would have been a different athlete if he had been able to stay in boxing. And Muhammad Ali, before he was jailed, was something that we had never seen before. He changed the sport in his style. Never had I seen a heavyweight move like that prior. I mean, I loved Joe Louis, but he was much more in the style at that time. Muhammad Ali was something they hadn't seen before. And the man, just between his intellect and his heart, he was amazing. I have Bo Jackson on my list. You mentioned football and baseball. He was also one of those guys. And crazy secret, he was like some master archer or something. He was like great at archery too.
Yeah,
he still is. I saw something with that recently. I was like, what?
Yeah. I mean,
crazy.
The hand-eye coordination on this, the natural speed and strength, and what he worked, of course. What you ended up with in the end was just supreme all-time athlete. And then my last one is Serena Williams, for all the reasons you laid out, Antoine. And then I got an honorable mention to my man, Bruce Lee.
Yes. Yeah.
I wanted to put him on my list, but I couldn't. But he is
Jeet Kune Do.
Want to say something?
I got an honorable mention too that I forgot.
Yo, come on, yo, don't do this.
Ric Flair.
Don't depart us like this. Don't depart.
I'm done, man. I can't talk Ric Flair.
So look, I'm glad everybody said, like a lot of people said, a lot of people who were on my honorable mention list. I tried to make it to where it was only one person that represented the sport. And some of these, I also factored in other things that they were really, 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 really good at. And other ones that were just so dominant that I had to put them on. It doesn't have an order in this one for obvious reasons, but we'll start with Muhammad Ali. I think that it speaks for himself. Dignitaries from presidents of other countries came in for his funeral. I'll just leave it at that. Usain Bolt. 9 gold medals, 9 races. So, I mean, like over 3 Olympics. He won the 100 meters 3 times in 3 Olympics. That's 12 years for the kids not keeping track. Amazing, amazing. He beat out Carl Lewis and Jack Adorno-Kersey on my track and field. So,
I respect that though. If you knew where he came from too, his beginnings, he wasn't fast at all, and then it's just like a different coach, and wow.
Yeah, he figured it out, and he was winning the 200, he's winning the 100, he's winning the relay, doing it with style and finesse. I mean, he's the guy, man. He's the greatest Olympian of all time. You know what I'm saying? It's like a Bon Jovi concert. Anyway, Serena Williams, for her complete and utter dominance. Venus would actually be the GOAT if Serena wasn't there. So it's like the fact that they had 2 of those is silly. So these last 2 I put on because of not only their professional accomplishments, but also their accomplishments in other sports as well. So yeah, Jim Brown, who is arguably the greatest football player who's ever played, but he's also arguably the greatest lacrosse player that's ever lived. And that's something that people don't even realize. He went to Syracuse not only because he could play football, but also because they had a lacrosse program and he was beating the brakes off of people in that.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, he was. And last but never least, the stilt himself, Wilt Chamberlain. TJ had mentioned a lot of his accomplishments. I will also throw in the fact that he was a professional volleyball player. I'll also throw in the fact that he was on the Harlem Globetrotters. I mean, like, there was nothing this guy couldn't do. Like, I would throw in the fact that he lifted weights with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Arnold Schwarzenegger said, "I'm never lifting weights with Wilt Chamberlain again." Like he said he's like, I'll never lift weights with this dude again. I'm never going to do that. So I mean, like, he was a true sportsman in every sense of the word. So I as far as my basketball one, I went with him. I know that I had Michael Jordan and LeBron on my list, but
Of course.
I felt like he could do so much stuff. Not to say that they couldn't do that too, but I knew his bona fides in those areas. So.
But Wilt was also a master barber. He did a hell of a taper and a fade. So, Wilt could do everything. Nah. Respect. Listen, we got to go out with a bang.
Wilt did everything too.
Come on. You gotta don't depart us.
They didn't call him this.
You know what I'm saying? Like, don't do that.
Listen.
You say they didn't call him the still.
Yeah. Wilt
I was about to take it out a whole other lane.
Yeah.
All the books.
Yeah, y'all know how like the whole there's a whole generation of people that are tall as hell. Wilt.
All the record books and all the birth certificates. Wilt, ladies and gents. They go no. So
I need to relax.
we got to close this out with a bang. Best teams ever. What does that mean? It could be a team that was a dynasty. It could be a team that went on a singular season run that was just unstoppable, right? Think about what that means to you. To be fair to everybody else, I'm going to kick this off because I know what it means to me. These are just some of my favorite teams ever that I watch. Sometimes they were a lion for a day. Sometimes they were a bit of a dynasty. So with that being said, the 85 Bears. Never seen anything like that. They recorded a music video before they even got the job done. That just let you know they just knew they were a team of destiny. And with Jim McMahon at quarterback, they still got it done despite that. So shout out to the 85 Bears, one of the best we ever seen. The 01 Lakers. I don't know if I've ever seen a team go into the playoffs, favored it that way, and somehow just dominate on a level that leaves you just like, what? What just happened? Like they were literally undefeated through 99% of that playoff run. So that was just one of the best. 98 Bulls. One of my favorite leagues, the WNBA, the 2002 LA Sparks, Lisa Leslie, who not only was a pilot and pioneer rather of the league, she came in that year and just dominated start to finish. And that was another terrific run. Last but not least, my favorite sport in the world, or second favorite sport, soccer, football, West Germany, and their run with my man Jurgen Klinsmann in 1990. Especially you had Italy, you had Roberto Baggio, you had my man Diego Maradona from Argentina that was balling out, and they still went through it like a hot knife through butter. And I'm just telling you, listen, that West Germany run in 90 was special. So those are my favorite teams ever. Wow. What is yours? We'll wait to find out because right now we're going to kick it off with TJ.
All right. So I've got the 95-96 Bulls. I mean, 72-10, most dominant team ever. I give it to them because they actually went through and they finished the job, right? They got the championship. They were just slapping people around all year long. No mercy. Loved it. The team I got, 72 Dolphins. They went 17-0 championship as well. And they were the first team to have top scoring offense and defense. I had to throw them down on the list. That's great teams. You guys may hate this, but I put the Warriors when they added Kevin Durant. Nobody could do nothing with him. I mean, nobody could touch him.
Boo.
I know.
Yeah, I know.
They were,
but you're right.
They were just. I mean, however you want to stack them against the Bulls is one. Historically is one thing, but they were just. As soon as Kevin Durant was traded there, every analyst, pundit, fan was like, "Oh man, we already know it's a foregone at this point."
There was no need to have a season.
Yeah. Because of that, I had to put them on the list.
We're just all out here running around. We're just all out here running around.
Even though they didn't finish the job, I did put the 2007 New England Patriots. Eli, I think if they play 10 times, the Patriots win 9, and Eli just happened to play number 10 that game. He just won it. They were not the better team. They shouldn't have won. I don't know how it happened.
They win 10 times, by the way, TJ.
Wait, wasn't it fourth down where Eli was pulled by the jersey? He somehow got away, and the catch on the helmet. That was fourth down, right?
Them winning that game was some Doctor Strange Marvel type.
Yeah, exactly. He's done people iteration billions of times. There's a .00000.
Eli looked over and was like,
Eli got it.
That's why.
Patriots let those two dull-eyed guys beat them. It was like Forrest Gump to Bubba. I've never seen anything so lucky in my life.
They would have. I think I probably still would have put the 72 Dolphins on here, but they would have surpassed them if they had.
Oh yeah.
They would have finished.
Oh yeah. That season was nuts though because
lost catching everything.
Yeah, I mean, my last one is the Showtime Lakers. They were just so fun to watch. You know, they were so good. Resurrected basketball, dominated during their time. Had such great characters on the number one charismatic basketball player of all time, Mr. Irving Magic Johnson. So that's my list, gentlemen.
All right, get it.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll go because mine's got some different teams on there. So I tried to. I went with people who did win championships. I only went with one era team, so to speak. So I'll just get that one out the way. I just said the '60 Boston Celtics, or you could call them the Russell Boston Celtics, the most dominant team ever of an era. Like they won 11 out of 13 championships. That's not going to be repeated. I don't care what you do. That's just not going to be touched in any sport in any type. 1998 Yankees went with those guys. They were very, very good. That was part of their legendary run in the 90s. Now, some of the teams that I saw that were the most dominant that I've ever actually physically watched. This is also one of the reasons why I had this list constructed the way it was. The 96 Bulls, 95, 96 Bulls. They're just super dominant. The Washington Racisms, 1992. That team, never seen anything like. To this day, I know that the Patriots were really, really good. The Minnesota Vikings in 98 were really, really good. But I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think there is a team that has ever existed that could beat that 92 Washington Racism team. They were so good. I mean, they were blowing everyone out the water. I think
they lost one game.
They lost 2 games, but I think one of them they were resting everybody. I mean, and they just had Mark Rippon was the quarterback, and it's they had a bunch of average, normal stuff, but I've never seen
Art Monk and Blair Cart.
Yeah, I've never seen a season of destruction like that. They just ran through everybody, and it was unfortunate because Detroit actually had their first crack at playoff success, and then they ran into them. Anyway,
back when offensive lines mattered.
Yeah. Last but not least, probably the one that no one has ever really thought of, but when you think about it, this team was not only dominant, but it's probably the best college team that I've ever seen. 1992 Duke. They just dominate. They dominated the landscape. They beat teams that they had no business. That you, at least on paper, you would look at it and be like, they can't beat the Fab Five. They can't beat Kentucky. They can't beat.
Boo.
I'm telling you, man.
They were good. They were good. Did they beat UNLV?
They beat the year before they beat UNLV.
Yeah, Eric Johnson and Stacey Ogden.
Grant Hill caught that insane alley-oop. Bobby Hurley was doing Bobby Hurley shit. Christian Laettner was doing Christian Laettner shit. It was that team was ridiculous. It got Lang. I mean, I could name. Back in the day, man, I could name their starters, all of their starters. They were so
who's who
ridiculous. They were really
Christian
good.
Laettner is the Tim Tebow of the NBA.
Yes, that is a great comp. That is 100% accurate. That's 100% accurate. But yeah, that 92 Duke team, ridiculous. I'm sorry, America.
It's all good. Great. Bring us home.
Well, I'll make this real short and sweet. All right. The 98 Broncos.
Ooh.
With
That was a good one.
John Elway, TD. Yeah. That was my team. That was my boys. That's one of them. The Showtime Lakers. I don't know what year exactly. All the years of the Showtime. They were just super dope.
All the years.
The Fab Five.
Nice.
Best crop of freshmen of any class ever. And it's going to stay that way. No one's ever done that. They were so cool, so dope, and played so raw. I can't believe they didn't win. It's the craziest thing ever that they did not win.
They didn't win because they ran into the 92 Duke team. That's the only reason they didn't win. That's the only reason.
I'm going to say they got out-coached. I don't believe that Duke team's not better than them. Krzyzewski's just a better coach. That's all that is. Krzyzewski's a great coach. What was that? That was number 3?
Yeah.
That was number 3. All right. Yeah. I got to go with everybody else with the 96 Bulls. Yeah. I mean, dominance. Complete dominance. Dominance and anger. I think Michael Jordan, they lost to the Magic the year before. Or the year, like 2 years ago. I think he was still mad. He took it out on everybody. Like 2.5 years.
And it's crazy because you hear players talk about it, and they knew he was pissed, so they knew what they were in for that game, and it was just like nothing they could do to stop it.
Nothing you could do.
Yeah, man, that was bad.
This was bad. Scottie Pippen before he was mad about his deal. This was
when
he was still going to the WWE timeout breaks.
Crazy.
This is Phil Jackson handing out peyote at halftime. These are the
peyote.
Those are the Bulls. That's the Bulls team that, I mean, greatest team ever. And the last team, Hoya Paranoia.
Oh, you better stop.
The throwback Hoyas with Pat Ewing.
You better stop, boys.
Monsters. They were the Detroit Pistons of college. They were the bad boys of college. They went super hard. Apparently not hard enough to beat Michael Jordan, which is a problem that Ewing has had literally his whole career life.
Yo, man, why, man? Yo.
Hit him with the chill God on that.
Yo, chill, man. What are you doing?
But yo, Hoya Paranoia. I don't know if y'all remember it like that. They just came across with some. They had some bad luck. They should have had 3 in a row.
They should have.
They should have had 3 in a row to get knocked off by a freshman Jordan that had no business taking that last shot. It should have been James Worthy. But hence it is Jordan, and Jordan is now the greatest player that ever exists in probably any sport ever. And somehow Villanova played one of the greatest games of any team ever. I don't know how you shoot 70% for a game as a team and not be at the little basketball hoop thing at Chuck E. Cheese. Like, I don't know how you hit 70% of your shots.
And they still barely won. They won by like 1 or 2 points, man.
It wasn't like one guy got hot and hit 70% of his shots. The entire team. That is the most extraordinary thing I've ever. That is, Patrick Ewing just can't get a break, yo. Like his whole life, he just can't get a break. But yeah, those are my 5 teams.
That's good.
Nice. Well, ladies and gents, we hope you enjoyed the broadcast this time around. That's been our top 5 episode. Hit us up in the comments. Let us know your top 5 in some of these categories. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. In addition to that, we'll be back sooner than you think with our Underdogs episode, where we talk about the best way to shift power is to empower. Until then, have a great evening. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.